slideshow here I've got. So we're going to just take a look at the basic interface of trialdirector 6.8 is what I'm using here. And so what we see on the screen right now is the case library over in this area. And so this is where when you import all of your documents, they're going to be imported to this area, whether they be documents like PDF files or JPEGs, PNG files. They're all going to go into the document folder. And then you're going to have transcripts that you're going to be importing, and you're going to import those using the transcript manager down here below. You can see it down on the bottom of the screen. I'm going to use a little zoom tool here so you can see this a little bit better. So this is your case library, your case explorer that shows you these three folders. These are when you create a case in trialdirector, a new case, these are the three folders that are created up here for the importation of your data. And then down below we have the Workbook Explorer. So even though you have a lot of documents up here imported, you may not be planning actually to show all these, just in case you import them into trialdirector, and then you work with them and get them ready to show in your presentation by dragging them down and dropping them into these workbooks down below. And we'll talk some more about those as we go along. So anyway, that is another panel that you'll see in your trialdirector interface. And then over here is where, when you click on a document over in this area, it will show up here for you to work with it, maybe do markups and so on before you go into trial. So these tabs up at the top are for navigating and searching within a document or a transcript. So right now we're on image mode and of the particular document that we see over on this side. And the image mode is important because that's where you do your markups, your redactions. You can draw arrows. We'll get to that in a little bit. Once you click this icon up here, that will take you to your markup tool set, so you can mark up the document you've got on the screen. But if you're going to be doing like searching and so on through text, you're going to be clicking on this tab so that you can search through the document. Now down below, you can navigate to other sections of the program by clicking on these tabs down at the bottom. I'm going to zoom in on these a little bit. So you have the case library, which is up above here. And then we're going to go to the document manager in a little bit. That's a tab that will take you there. So you can put in some information about the documents. A transcript manager for the video and other types of transcripts that you bring in. So you can do clips and so on. And then your coding tab down at the bottom. So this is a part of the interface that we're going to be dealing with as we go along. Then up here, the Case Explorer window will remain docked to the left. This is your Case Explorer window over here on the left. And you can close it for more space. So that's what the icons are up here. If you click on this icon here, it will actually close this panel down and open this area up so you have more room to work with on your document. So you can click there, and it will then open up. Notice it's disappeared over here in the left. And then when you want to bring that the Case Explorer windows and panels back, you click on the icon that moves over to the left, and then it will come back over for you. Also, when you're using your Case Explorer, you can decide that you want to, and normally you're going to say all items. You want them all to show up down here. There may be cases where instead you just want to look at, in your Case Explorer, of the annotated document pages, those that you've already worked with and getting them ready for presentation to a jury. So you might just want to click here. So you click on this little arrow, and then this drop down comes up, and you can pick which of the items in your Case Explorer that you want to look at. If you just want to look at native files, then that's all that will show up down below, and so on. Or multimedia files, audio and video, and so you could click here, and then that's all that you would see down below. So this is a way of sort of filtering what shows up in your Case Explorer. So if you want to expand these folders you see down below, this little plus sign is what you're going to click on to open them up to take a look at what documents you have in the case Explorer here. So here we have a document that we've opened it up and we've clicked on it, and now we can see that it's a document that we've already annotated, and it's got an arrow on it that I've drawn, and it's a circle around some people down here. So you get this document ready for trial. Now, this is not the mode in which your jury is going to be seeing the document. It's the mode in which, when you're in trial director, you're actually deciding to prep it up before you go into the trial. And so it's a way of just making sure that these are ready to go. You can actually annotate the documents while they're showing before the jury with these same tools, but oftentimes that's sometimes effective, you know, and you can do that. But a lot of times you want to save a little time when you're presenting to the jury, and you want to have these markups ready to go. So that this is a view where we're working with an image. Notice up here on the top here, that image tab. We're not working with a text document, but an image document. And over here, these little icons in front of the documents kind of give you a clue as to what kind of document it is. And this little icon that you're seeing in front of this one is indicating it's an image of some kind. So, you know, like a photograph. So that's what these icons are doing for you. Oh, that's an image. I can mark that up. You can drag and drop the divider to view document description. So remember, before I said you could click on this icon and it would shove that way over to the left. But sometimes you actually want to see more of what's showing up in the Case Explorer, not less. And then you can point at this little vertical line. You can hold your left mouse button down and drag it over to the right. And then once you've done that, if there's some information about the document that's been added to it, that you've added and others have added, then that information will show up in this area. So you can see there's a photo of the front of the property. A snapshot was taken on such and such a date, and it is dealing with a groundwater elevation tour map. This one here. Over here is the elevation. This is a snapshot that was taken on March 31st. This is a photo. This is an overhead photo of the property, this icon here, and so on. So this is kind of a handy way when you want to take a look at, and you're prepping the documents, any more descriptive information that you or someone else has added about that particular document. So now I pushed it back over to the left. So you can now drag and drop items from the Case Explorer to the workbooks for organization. So let's say we've got this document marked up the way we want it, and now down here below is the Workbook Explorer. The documents up here are not going to be able to be seen when you present to the jury until you put them in the Workbook Explorer down below. And so once you mark them up and you get them ready, you're going to drag them and drop them down into these workbooks, as you can see down in this area. So I say this is some kind of a document that a witness is going to be talking about. So I'm going to click on it and drag it and drop it down in the witness folder down below. Now we're going to move over to another tab, the Document Manager tab, so that we can annotate and prepare documents for trial. So we click on that Document Manager tab, and then we can bring those documents up and click here to use some annotation tools. And when you do that, you can see the annotation tools that you have on this toolbar here I've opened up for you. The arrow tool here is one that I clicked on and I dragged it and dropped it down on there. The circle tool, I drug around there. And then this is your rectangle tool. And if you click on that, then you can drag and drop like a little rectangle around the area. And so you've got a bunch of annotation tools that are available to you. You got a pencil tool, you can draw on those. We'll get to these a little bit later when we explore actually annotating the documents, but I did want to give you the overview of where these tools are located. To close the annotation tools, you just click on that little cup with all the annotation tools sticking out of them, and that will close it down. And next, we're going to deal with the Transcript Manager tab. It's down at the bottom of the screen. This is where you create video clips of witnesses. You can issue code testimony. You can prepare a testimony for trial. So we're going to click on there. And now we're in the Transcript Explorer. You can see up here in the left-hand corner. I'm going to grab my magnifying glass again and go up here. So you can see we're in Transcript Explorer now. So this panel is completely different than what we saw earlier because we clicked on that tab at the bottom. And we see the transcripts that have been loaded into this particular case, their names and so on. And then over here, we see the transcript that has been selected, Michael Poley, and the transcript is over here. And if we move farther over, we can see this is a video synchronized transcript. So that if we click the play button here, we're going to see the transcript scroll. The text will scroll down as he speaks, and we'll see it synchronize the text with what he's saying there. And then down below there, if there's an exhibit that's attached to a part of the testimony that he's giving, then you'll see the exhibit show up in the exhibit preview as well. And now under the transcript pull down, we'll get to these as we go along into the transcript section, but I want to show you where they are. You have a whole bunch of options here. One is checked right now, display issue codes. If you've assigned issue codes to certain parts of the testimony and you want those displayed when you're reviewing, you can put a check mark in front of that. Then if you're wanting to import transcripts, you can click here, export transcripts. If you want to export transcripts, say to for PowerPoint presentation, you can do that, or to just WMB or MPG files, you can export them. We'll get to those procedures as we go along, and how you can display attached exhibits to parts of the testimony, and some of these we'll explain as we go along later. So anyway, those are some of the features we'll be covering, but this is where you find them in your interface. Displaying the issue codes is that you put check marks in front of these various options. And then issue code, annotated selected text. If you want to pick different colors for this, you can pick your colors. And then we have other tools. When we're in the Transcript Explorer, there's a time coder, timeline express, batch PTF import tools, file bridge, image brander, image sleuth. So there are a number of tools here that show up when we are in the Transcript Manager. We'll get to some of those as we go along. Timecoder actually lets you manually synchronize video depositions to the transcript text, but I really don't recommend this procedure. Instead, when you have video transcripts created by your court reporters, I would recommend that they do this all for you so that you don't have to get in there and do this. It's a time-consuming process. And although trial director gives you this opportunity, and if you've got some older transcripts that haven't been time-coded, you could use it, but it is a very time-consuming process for a paralegal to participate in. So now we're going to go over to the coding interface. So you click down on the coding tab at the bottom. And now here is where, with this particular document we've been working with, we can put in all of this information about it, so that this would show up in our Case Explorer as well. So we can put in a title, the type of document it is. We can put in the author, someone who took the photograph, or if it's not this type of document, it might be a Word document. We could put in the author of the document. If it's an email, who received it, who received carbon copies. We can put in issues that we might think are related to this. We can put in notes about the photograph and what this particular photograph is all about. We can mark it as privileged or confidential, and we can say that it's been annotated. We can say that it's been redacted if we've got some redaction on it. And we have a trial exhibit number that we can assign to it here, depending on your case and so on. So now click here to return to the case library. And then if you want to take a look now, we'll take a brief look at the presentation mode. So we're going to click here. And this is what the presentation mode looks like when it opens up. And you have various tools down below that we'll explore when we actually do the presentations to the jury. So this is what the jury will see, and they won't see the other Case Explorer and all that. And we'll get into the presentation mode and some of these tools as we go along. A tip is you can use dual screens and keep trial presentation mode open in the second screen. So the second screen would be your projector, and then your screen that you see on your laptop would be the Case Explorer view and all that. But I find it a little bit, I don't know, unless you don't know for sure what you're going to be presenting in the case. If you've drug all your case information down into the workbooks down below in that lower panel, I don't really recommend using the second screen, but it is possible to do dual screens with trialdirector. We'll show you how to do that as we go along. So to click here to present a document, this is the interface down below here. So this is the document that we're wanting to present. We see it here. If we didn't want that, we click this icon and see the others. But if you want to shove it up above in that black area, you click here, and then the document shows up to the jury up above. And then you can actually annotate it. Here's an arrow tool. You could draw an arrow on it right in front of the jury, and a circle something. We'll deal some more with some of these annotation tools as we go along. The multiple annotation tools are available, as it says here. And if we want to highlight something, we can pick the highlight option and just highlight that information, draw the arrow right on the document in front of the jury. You can put these number stamps right on the documents right in front of the jury as you're presenting. Or you can do this previous in the preliminary when you're working with the documents instead of doing it live. So then when you want to exit the presentation mode, then you would click here to exit out of there. And that is the basic overall view of trialdirector. Now I wanted to get into the organizing of evidence. So we're going to do this very quickly from the current slide. So this is where the evidence is going to be organized for presentation. We're going to be dragging stuff that we've worked with up here down into these workbooks. Now the first, these are the default folders that are created for you when you create a new case: search results, trial exhibits, and you can create new folders as we go along and show you how to do that. For example, right now, we're going to create, an additional workbook, and that's a sort of a top-level workbook. And to do that, we're going to go ahead and right button click on Workbooks. And when we do that, and you right button click on that top level, it gives you a chance with this to create a new workbook. So you can create a new workbook down below, depending on what you're going to drag down from the top into your workbook section. So here we created an opening and closing option. And you can change the color of this. If we want to change your color, you right button click on the folder. And then you can go ahead and pick whatever color you want to assign to that particular new workbook that you've created. To create a subset workbook, you can right-click on that particular folder, the top-level folder. You can right-button click there, and then you can come up and create a opening and argument subfolder like we did here. Then to add an item to a workbook, you simply, as I said earlier, excuse me, drag and drop the item from the Case Explorer down into the folders down below. So if this is a document that you're going to be using for an opening argument, you'd hold your left mouse button down and just drag it and drop it down into the opening argument folder down below. You use workbooks to select groups of items for printing as well. To create exhibit outlines, to display exhibits at trial, and to create excuse me, PDF files of the images in the workbook, among other things. So we'll get to those as we go along, but that's what you can use these workbooks for as well. So here's another option that comes up when you want to rename a workbook. Maybe in, opening arguments, you want to rename that. So you can click there when you right button click on it, and then you can rename the workbook to whatever you want. An exhibit outline is a printed summary of the contents of the workbook. So if we want to, excuse me, click right button click on that folder, it gives you this pop-up menu, and you can send the workbook contents to a Microsoft Word exhibit outline like you see over here. And it includes barcodes as well, and the IDs. You can sort the items within an individual workbook in two ways, by item ID, or you can just manually organize them. Excuse me. Workbooks can be used to organize exhibits in presentation mode. So if the show presentation mode option is selected, the workbooks will be available. So you want to make sure you have a check box in front of that option when you right button click on these workbooks. Documents are automatically added to the exhibit trial exhibits workbook when you enter a number in the trial exhibit field of a document record. We'll get to that as to how you do that, but they're automatically put there when you're working with your documents in your document manager down below. They'll be put there automatically instead of having to drag and drop them down. You can also drag and drop whatever items you want from one workbook to another. So if you put it in one workbook, you can drag it out of there and so on. You can click the plus sign in front of these so that you can see what is inside of that particular workbook, and then you can drag them and drop them into other workbooks depending on where you want them relocated. And then when you bring up the Workbook Explorer, you can expand it. You can drag this over so you can see, and that's what this previous slide was about. And go back there. I was showing you can drag this vertical bar, drag it over to the right. Then when you do that, you've got more room to see what descriptions there are for those particular trial exhibits that you've dragged down from above and put into your workbooks. The exhibit details are displayed in this column here. And then we can click on the exhibits and we can see what they look like. If we've actually put multiple exhibits on a screen, this is like a snapshot that was taken when we had different exhibits showing in some of the panels in the presentation mode. We'll get to that and show you how to do that. But this was then a snapshot that was taken while we were in presentation mode. And when you do the snapshots, they automatically then occur in your trial exhibit list over here. And that's what we're seeing. And then you can add document transcripts, even witness video depositions to workbooks for organization. So we went into Transcript Manager and we dragged these down into the witness area to make sure we have all our video transcripts and clips that we want to present in trial. And then this folder is automatically created for you, the admitted folder, so that if you present something in the trial, it's considered to be admitted, and then it will show up in the admitted folder that automatically is created for you. And to the right of the document IDs, the date of the exhibit was admitted into evidence, and the time the exhibit was admitted will also show up over here in these columns. And so what we're seeing here now is the document that was admitted. We click on it, we can see that it was admitted in this format with a highlight on this particular part of the exhibit. You can search results for documents automatically. When you're searching for documents, the search result search will show up as in here, so you don't have to redo those searches. And so that's the basics of organizing your evidence that I wanted to show you. Now, one more PowerPoint that I want to get to here in the next few minutes is creating a new case and some of the issues here. So we'll start in the beginning. What we want to do in TrialDirector to start a new case is click on File when you've opened up TrialDirector and click there. And then we want to come down to Create a New Case and click here. And then we want to, this wizard will come up and assist you. Select a case location, and this is pretty critical. You want to make sure you're putting your case in the right location. If you're using a network where other people are going to be working on this case, instead of having it on your workstation or your laptop, you're going to want to pick Browse to go out to the location where you've been told to put this particular case. So it's going to create a folder where all your data is going to be stored for this particular case. And so it's a real important decision that you're making here. So we'll click Next and Browse. And it comes out and says, okay, show the disk drives and hardware connected to this computer. We click this PC. It will come up and show us, our hard drive and other network drives. And then in this case, I'm going to go to off the C drive. There's a folder called TrialDirector. It's at the root level of C. And oftentimes this is the way folks create their cases on a laptop. I'm going to click there and then select a folder to add your list of available cases. And previously someone has put a folder called State versus Jones in this TrialDirector case, and that's the name of our case in this pretend situation. So we're going to say, okay, we want to put all the data into this folder here under TrialDirector. So we'll go ahead and click there. And that wizard assists you as you continue selecting the case. You select it and say Next. And then you can put in a little bit more information, a description. You can put in like the database, you can put the name database after this, and then use the case description for a directory name, a folder name. You can put your matter number in there, and you can put notes in there too if you want to. And then finally, you can select protect your valuable data. You can enable case security, which you very well might want to do, and put in the administrator name, password, and confirm your password. And then create the case. And then basic case will look like this in TrialDirector. You're going to have those basic folders like here, and then you're going to have these basic workbooks also created for you as well. And so that's the basics of creating a new case in TrialDirector. We will be getting, I'm going to go back to our course website now. So that is our getting started. Those are the 3 PowerPoints that I've used. You can download those and look at those over again if you'd like to. So next session, we're going to get into the presenting mode, a little bit more detail, and the files I'm going to be using, including a PDF, will be down below. And I've got a few videos here too that you can view and that might be handy for you.